Hi there, welcome back to the Leeds lobby. It's the second video we're putting out today. The first video has had 250 likes on it, which is a little bit light, bearing in mind the number of views. It's really important to us as a new channel that you like the video. If you're coming and you're tuning in on more than one occasion to multiple videos, please subscribe. We're up to 1,200 subscribers. It'd be great to see that number hit somewhere in the region of 2,500 by the time the season starts. We're growing fast, and I'm sure you're enjoying the content, which is why we keep coming back. So without much further ado, we'll now look at the other thing is, if you have not yet seen the previous video where we talk about what is known as the pivot system, we've actually explained what that means. We've talked a little bit about how that relates to the fact that we're more than likely going to be using wing backs for our width and what that actually means in terms of what we can expect tactically. That's on the last video. If you want to go back and hit that and go and have a look at that, by all means, like it and subscribe. Go and do that. But here we go. We're going to talk about inverted wingers. Now, there's lots and lots of talk about how Marsch seems to employ a system where he has a 4-2-2-2 system. We have two players up front. I'm not entirely sure that that is necessarily what we're going to see from Leeds United this season. I think that it's possible that we're going to see that. Certainly we lined up that way when we played against Blackpool. But also there is a possibility that, like what's on the screen behind, you will see that we may be, on occasions, reverting to a 4-2-3-1 system. And that's largely because this particular role here, we have a couple of players who were able to play in attacking midfield. We have Aronson. We have Joffrey, who's able to drop deep and play that role. He isn't quite a number 9, but he comes and he looks for the ball, much the same as Harry Kane does. We also have Greenwood, who's able to play that role. We've got Somerville, again, who is able to play out on the right wing. So what we're going to see is we're going to see a little bit of a mixture, I think, between the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-2-2-2 system. But let me explain a little bit what is meant by inverted winger. Now, we talked a little bit this morning about how us having two holding midfielders rather than the one that we've had with Phillips is actually going to allow Leeds United to drop one of those holding midfielders deep to provide central cover, which will allow Strauch or Koch, depending on which side that we're defending, to move over and cover for a wing-back, which allows a wing-back to go bombing down the wing. What I expect to see this season is Harrison on the left wing as a wing-back, playing in that berth there, but also tearing forward and tearing down the wing. I still expect to see Harrison crossing the ball in on multiple occasions, making it to the byline and giving Leeds an attacking option when we talk about crosses into the box. That's one thing we saw under Bielsa in the first season. Leeds United were something like number 1 in the top centile for crosses into the box. We did that really well while we had a full squad. And again, I expect to see the same from Christensen. He's somebody that is going to, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, get down that wing and going to be demanding the ball. He's going to be a great player for us, I do think. I'm really excited on seeing what happens with him. But what does that leave? And why are Leeds, if we're playing narrow and people are talking about us supposedly playing narrow, why are we bidding for strikers? Why are we bidding not for strikers? Why are we bidding for wingers? Why do we seem to be bringing wingers into the club and not attacking midfielders? It's an interesting question, because our main signing, the signing that I think most people are excited about, is this new signing, Sinisterra, and he's a winger. So how can that be? How are we letting Rafinha go, that supposedly isn't going to fit the system, and we're bringing Sinisterra in, who is a replacement for Rafinha? Yeah, he isn't actually going to play on the right, he's going to play on the left. And this is the answer to some of these questions. So an inverted winger is not a winger that plays in the middle. An inverted winger is a winger that progresses towards the middle. So, for example, we are still going to be operating in those wide spaces. He's still going to be picking the ball up in those wide spaces. But whereas Rafinha is already playing for Leeds United as an inverted winger, that's a left-footed winger playing on the right-hand side. You'll notice that a lot of Rafinha's play is cutting inside and taking a shot, cutting inside and playing an in-swinging ball into the box. Whereas Harrison, by contrast, is a left-footed player that's been playing on left-hand side, and what he's been doing is he's been getting to the byline and he's been using his left foot to whip the ball in. Our problem last season is we've never had anybody at the end of that because Bamford's been injured. We just haven't been adventurous enough in that final third. And as such, Harrison's picked up, I think it's 8 assists. But to be fair, he could have had as many as 15 with some of the crosses he's been putting in. Now, what we expect to see with Jesse Marsch is an inversion of that. So what that basically means is Harrison, if he is going to play on the wing, he won't be playing on the left. He will actually be playing on the right. And he will be cutting inside and swinging the ball into the box and playing the ball into the middle. And but earlier, and there'll be an overlap. So Christensen will overlap, and if that ball is being crossed in, and it was being crossed in from the byline, it will be Christensen that's crossing the ball in, and not Harrison on that side. Again, Sinisterra is a player that already plays this role for his previous club. He's a right-footed player that actually plays on the left, and therefore he cuts inside. So what we expect to see is Harrison or Firpo, whoever's playing this role, passing Sinisterra, and we expect to see any crosses that take place that come in that way from the byline are going to be coming from the wing back rather than from the actual winger himself. And the same with Christensen. But what we expect to see is Aronson picking the ball up in these areas and making his way into the centre of the pitch, or by same token, either making his way into the centre of the pitch or playing the ball on for Christensen, who's going to be bombing on, or alternatively be swinging the ball in that way, arriving in the box in that way. So that's what we expect to see from both Sinisterra on this side, perhaps Aronson on that side. In terms of having a two up front, again, it's purely dictated by who's fit. It may well be that we have a 4-2-2-2. And we have Joffy and Bamford up front. I don't think there's going to be an awful lot of change in that system. I think it may well be that Joffy or Greenwood, or we see Rodrigo just in that area, in and behind Bamford. So we don't necessarily play two up front, but we play one in behind, another attacking option, but an attacking option arriving late rather than being on the end of everything. But really, that's a minor adjustment depending on the personnel. But for me, and I may be wrong, I'm not expecting Firpo to start at left wing back. I'm expecting to see Harrison start at left wing back. He will be playing left wing back or right wing. That's the way I see it as far as Marsch's system is. I may be wrong. I may look like an absolute idiot for putting this out, but this is what I think. And I think Christensen will be starting on that left berth on account of the fact that he's actually a wing back rather than a right back. One thing that is really interesting to me is one of the real frailties that we had last year with one holding midfielder is that where we had these players in these areas moving forward, we were left exposed round the back, and we just didn't have an out ball. We didn't have an out ball from the defence, which meant that we were constantly inviting, when trying to play the ball out, we'd not got enough personnel in the middle of the pitch to cause us to be able to play the ball up to that final third. And that's why we constantly kept seeing the ball come back into Leeds United's box. And that's where we started having problems. What I expect to see this year is a better defence, not because the personnel has changed, but because they're more protected. I expect to see a better defence as we are better up in that final third of the pitch. And I expect to see that if we keep an element of fitness within our defence, because there's a pairing that is a regular pairing, it will settle down. We will find out what Jesse Marsch's preferred central defensive pairing is, and if those two players stay fit, we'll see consistency, we'll see Meslier growing in confidence, and I actually expect to see us finish a lot better than we did last season. Thanks ever so much for watching the video. Any questions, put them in the box below. If you've got any comments, please put them in the box below. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the videos, and we'll see you next time.